Hey guys, welcome to the pod.
The Pea Pod. I'm Peas.
And I'm Ladle.
And we have a full ladle of peas just for you.
So let's get to it.
I didn't have a... Whatever. It adds variety to it, so it's not the same every time.
I suppose it does. That's like, at the call center, some people just sound like pre-recorded robots when they speak, and I
Is that a
try
problem?
not to. I mean, I think so. If I got a voicemail, I'd want it to sound like a real person.
Hey, Jane. My name's Justine, and I'm just calling because I want to... I can't remember their voicemail thing.
And I'm a student here at Moody B.I.B.L.E Institute. I'm calling on behalf of Moody to ask you to be a part of our Giving Day on April 23rd. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway. I'm working the call center right now for Giving Day. Anyway, speaking of Giving Day, let the Lord give us some scripture.
Amen. 2 Kings chapter 5.
Verses 1 through 14.
Bingo.
14.
Bingo, bango, mongo.
If you will open the scriptures with us to 2 Kings 5, 1 through 14, I will begin to read.
Do it.
Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and in high favor, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. Now the Syrians on one of their raids had carried off a little girl from the land of Israel, and she worked in the service of Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "Would that my lord were the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." So Naaman went in and told his lord, "Thus and so spoke the girl from the land of Israel." And the king of Syria said, "Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So he went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, "When this letter reaches you, know that I have sent to you Naaman, my servant, that you may cure him of his leprosy." And when the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God, to kill and to make alive, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Only consider and see how he is seeking a quarrel with me." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he went to the king, saying, "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come now to me, and he may know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stood at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman was angry and went away, saying, "Behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call upon the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" So he turned and went away in rage. But his servant came near and said to him, "My father, it is a great word the prophet has spoken to you. Will you not do it? He has actually said to you, 'Wash and be clean.'" So he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean.
Wow. I feel like I say wow after every time we read.
Wow.
Wow. But, who do you want to start?
I want to start first on Naaman himself and his unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody is like, well, he gets told, "You got to go wash in this river 7 times. And he's like, "They have dirty rivers here. I don't want to wash in their stupid river. And what's that going to do for me? That's not going to heal me. Shouldn't you just say, 'Heal him, Lord,' and bam, and be done?" And his servant dude is like, "No, why not just do it and see what happens?"
All he said was wash the river. Like, that's so much
didn't
easier.
he just tell you what to do? Like, now you're upset that he didn't tell you what you wanted to hear? And he's like, "Let me go wash in the stupid river," and then he's healed. And what I think is interesting, I don't know if this has any actual correlation, but restored like the flesh of a little child is, I don't know, Jesus just talks a lot about the little children and how important it is to, I mean, as a child of God. And so I wonder if there's any I'm sure there is significance in the fact that they say of a little child and he was clean.
I think it means that his skin was even better than when he had started, like before he was just a dude. Like his skin was actually been improved. Like it looked younger than if he was the actual age. It was just better. You know, than his just leper
had
skin.
The secret.
Yeah, that was the fountain of youth.
The fountain of youth.
Yeah, seriously. What I think is also interesting, though, well, obviously the whole thing's interesting, but the person who tells him to go wash in the river, like who says, so he's got leprosy, right? And if you don't know what leprosy is, it's just the skin disease that causes you to have like sores and splotches of white all over yourself. It looks
and if you had leprosy back then, it was like
that was the disease. Like when in the song, what's the who can cure the leper spots?
Nothing but the blood of Jesus.
That song. Thank you, PJ. That's indication of how important leprosy was to show an uncleanness, and it's usually people just thought he had done something sinful, similar to the girl who had the blood disease for 12 years. Anyway, so he's got this leprosy, and he's a big commander, right? He's supposed to be an important dude.
Commander of the army of the king of Syria.
And a great man, and a master of high favor. Well, on one of his raids, so one of his very evil things that he's done, he picks up this little girl. This little girl who is probably, an Israelite girl. You know, instead of saying, ha, you've got leprosy, you're going to die, I'm so happy, I'm going to be free, go die. Instead she says, would that my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. Like, she has this heart, and we have no idea how old she is. She's probably 10, 11, 12 maybe. She's like, she wants to see this guy like healed, and that's just incredible. First of all, that she would say that to him. Then I think it's interesting that he goes to buy this. Basically, he goes to buy his cleanliness from the king of Israel with these several things of clothes and these coins and everything. And then Elisha doesn't even go out to see him. He says, Elisha, the man of God, heard the king of Israel torn his clothes. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, and he sent to the king.
Yeah, he sent to the king,
why
have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me now that he may know that there's a prophet in Israel. And then, Elisha sent a messenger to him. He didn't even go outside. And Naaman's like, you're not even going to come and see me?
I remember seeing like a cartoon depiction of this where it's like Elisha has this little hut and they go knock on the door. I don't know where I saw
this.
But they go knock on the door and like some guy opens and he's like, go wash in the river. And they're like, and it makes it like really, it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
The way that they depict it in this cartoon that I watched.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would also be like, okay, you're here to heal me, but you're not going to even come see me. He says, go wash in the river. Well, so he goes to actually wash in the river. Before he gets to wash the river, like you were saying, he storms away. He turns and went away in a rage. Like,
yeah, he's throwing a little tantrum.
He's throwing a tantrum because he's like, Elisha won't come and see me. He's telling me I need to wash in this dirty river. It's not going to happen. Whatever.
The stinking king couldn't even help me.
Exactly.
He's the freaking king, bro.
Exactly. But I just think that the most important part of this comes in the last section where he says, so he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child. He was clean. They leave out a lot of detail there because Naaman had to go into the river, wash, come back out. It doesn't indicate anything that this was a gradual process. So he went in, he came out. Nothing had changed. He went in, he came out. He went in, he came out. Now some of his soldiers are laughing at him because they're like, yeah, look at this guy.
Hardy har har.
Hardy har. He's just doing
dipping
something.
Himself in a river.
4 times. 5 times. Nothing's happening. He looks ridiculous at this point. Time 7 happens. Actually, time 6, he comes out of the water, and he's like, I can't believe I just did this. Like, why is this happening? Nothing's happening. Time 7, he comes out, and he's washed clean. Right?
I kind of imagine this part, this is kind of gross.
Oh,
But in the Hunger Games, in the first movie, in the second movie, they get like caught up in this cloud of fog, and it like puts like boils and stuff on their skin,
Oh,
and then they have to
yeah.
go in the water and like scrub it off, and it's like this like white kind of milky liquid, and it's kind of gross. That's like what I envision in my head of like him like washing in the river, and he's like, whoa, and he's got this stuff coming off him, and then he's like, whoa.
Well, how many times have we been in a situation that God has asked you to do something and it's your sixth time and you're like, I can't do this anymore? How many people have given up on the sixth time of doing something? And I mean that sort of metaphorically. Like, how many times have you gone to that coworker at work or person at school and you say, you know, you should come to church with me, or you should consider reading the Gospel of John, or you're trying to preach the gospel or something, and they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. They keep saying no. But how do you know that that next time isn't the seventh time where they say, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll read it. I'll see what happens. I'll go to church with you, right? It reminds me of the section in Matthew right after the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew chapter 6, verse 7 says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. For everyone that asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks it will be opened. And then there's another parable that I won't go find, but it's the one where he's talking about the people that goes knocks in the middle of the night on the guy's door, and he's like, I need your bread. And he's knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking, and he goes, fine, I'll get up and get you your bread. It's just like this idea of persistence, right? And faithfulness through asking God to do something. So if you have a health issue or something, and you're asking over and over again, God, please heal me from this, please heal me from this, and you're on your sixth time, and you say, he's not going to heal me, I'm giving up. What are you missing out on if you had just asked one more time? You know, and it's not like God is holding out on you, or he's saying, I'm not going to do it until you ask me 45,000 times. It's just, A, it's all in his timing, whatever he desires, because he designed it. And B, it's more of like, I don't know. I think that's really the only answer. It's just his timing. You never know what could be happening, especially with when you're asking somebody over and over again if they go to church or read the gospel or whatever. It could be slowly chiseling them down, even though you don't see it happening on the outside of them. So that's what I take from the last part of this passage is he washes 7 times, and it's only on the 7th time did it totally cleanse him. But yeah, and then I mean, if you go into the verse 15, after he washes 7 times, it says he returned to the man of God and all his company, and he came and stood before him, and he said, behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. So accept now a present from your servant. He doesn't even mention the leprosy. He doesn't say, thank you for curing me. He doesn't say, thank God for curing me. He just says, I know there's a God now. Mm-hmm. And so that's a little bit of a separate topic, but that's just really interesting to see how when something dramatic like that happens, it's just such a clear indication of God that people just will praise the Lord for it and not even mention what was going wrong. So that's all the application I had.
I think the only other thing I was going to say is, like, when he is angry and he says, could I not wash in these other rivers and be clean? Because the rivers are cleaner in Israel than the one in Israel. And I'll just go back and wash in those rivers. And his servant responds and is like, has he actually said to you, wash and be clean? Like, is that what he said? Or did he say that you'd be healed? It's not just, go take a bath. It's go do this specifically this way, and this will happen. And because where's the go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. It's not just. It's more there than just wash and
You'll
be
be
clean.
Healed. Well, I mean, like
healed. Like he says, wash and be clean. He says, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and then you shall be clean. But it's not about the water that you're using.
Yeah.
It's about the command that the Lord has given. And I think a lot of times we do that in, like, we think that we have to do everything a certain way every time. We're very ritualistic, very, like, creatures of habit.
Mm-hmm.
We create habits, but it doesn't have to be the same way every time for it to be good. And I mean, basic application of something like this would be like the way that I edit an episode of the podcast is going to be different than the way that PJ edits an episode of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both still good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not about what water you use. It's about following the command. It's not about what way you do things, but it's about following God's command.
Yeah.
And if he says, you're going to go do this way, you better go do it that way and not try to take shortcuts or workarounds or some secret passage that you found. And in, like, our schoolwork, how simple is it when a professor says, here's an assignment, and we go, okay, what's the 50 workarounds that I can do to make this, easier than what it is? They just said to go do the assignment. Just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell you to... It doesn't matter the way that you end up doing it. It matters that you do it, and you do it the way that they asked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And trying to take shortcuts and workarounds and only wash 2 times instead of 7 is going to get you cut short. And that's like in life,
I do.
That's my last piece. So
Good job. I like that. Anyway. Not anyway as in, like, to disregard your past statement.
that's how it sounded.
Oh. How about you find a fun transition into the next section?
Well, doesn't matter how you get there, but music.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Music. Do you have one? Do you have a song?
Do I have a song? I do, in fact, have a song. I need to
Great.
look it up, though.
Awesome.
So you go first.
Okay. Brad Paisley is one of my favorite artists. Actually, I think he is my favorite artist, but I've never talked about him on the podcast. So I'm going to. And it's going to be with this song. It's called Wrapped Around. It's about marriage. It's about this guy. What's about Brad, who is like, every day, this is the first verse. Every day I clock out and head straight to her house. We cuddle up on the couch, but it always ends the same old way. I'm driving home and it's incredibly late. Something's got to change because I've been wrapped around her finger since the first time we went out. Every day and every night, she's all I think about. I need that girl beside me when the lights go out. I think it's time to put a ring on the finger I'm wrapped around. And so my favorite line in the song I'm gonna play here. It's kind of funny. This is him talking to her dad.
Yes, sir, I love her very much. I know it's only been 7 months. That's long enough, 'cause I've been wrapped around her finger.
So that's my favorite part. And it's a great, that whole album, the whole album is called Part 2. And it's his second album, believe it or not. And you should listen to the whole album, but that song specifically is really fun. And, yeah, I just like it a lot. So there's my song.
Well, my song is a whole different track.
Okay.
It's rap, kind of some sort. I don't know how to explain it. It's called Treetops by No Big Deal. And I'll play it a little bit for you.
Rise in the east like sun, no fun. Last year kinda felt like climbing a tree. The higher it seems, more cuts on my knees. Look down, turn my friends' enemies on the ground. Pride got me feeling like a leaf falling down. Can a pea catch a me for a meat in the ground?
Wow. I didn't understand a word he said, but that was fun.
Well, when you do understand the lyrics, it's about his faith journey, and it's really cool. And, yeah, it's a song that we've played at camp before.
Oh.
And that some friends of mine and I just jammed to when we're in the car and it's very like windows rolled down, like
Summer vibes.
bopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my song.
Wow.
Go listen to it. It's really good if you listen to the lyrics, or if you don't, it's just fun.
Yeah. And it's clean and cool and
And
biblically
talks about
based.
Toyota.
Really?
Yeah.
Toyota.
We go in places Toyota. Camry
Okay.
Corolla Tacoma.
Oh, is that the
Yeah,
song
that's
that
the
you?
song.
Oh, I'm making connections.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you were ever to go see that song in concert, how would you act? That is the question.
The answer is it'd be kind of a casual concert, so a
Yes.
little
So,
different.
okay. So, what we wanted to speak on this afternoon is concert etiquette. And this is something that sort of ties into the clapping episode that we talked about. Because we we talked about like, okay, when is appropriate for clapping in church and things like that, right? But this is just for concerts and music in general, because I share the opinion that a lot of people can't enjoy concerts and live music a lot of the ways that they should be able to, because they interrupt it. And I mean that in the terms of like, there'll be a band playing and there'll be like the last note or something is happening at the end, and everybody starts clapping and cheering and going crazy. They're like building up the hype, but there's something important happening at the end of the song. They're playing this last little riff, or they're singing really quietly, and you're just drowning it out. I mean, this happens to us. Now, there's the orchestral part of this, and then there's just like normal music. I know that when we play an orchestra, a lot of times people are drowning that out when there's a last chord or something, right? When it comes to the orchestra, this is just flat out fact. The conductor is conducting, right? If it is a one movement piece, there's no other movements in the piece, it's just one. As soon you wait until he has put his hands all the way down and turned around or smiled, whatever, after the instruments go down, that is when you clap. That's when you know it's completely over. If the conductor's hands are still like this, there's just a little bit of sound going on and it seems like it's over, but it's not, and he's still doing this with his hands, I mean like up, or the musicians still have their instruments up, don't move. Don't clap, don't do anything. You have no idea what's about to happen. If it's a multi-movement piece, after the hands go down and the instruments go down, sometimes the conductor will keep his baton in the air while he turns the page, just for people to see. But even after his baton goes down, if it's a multi-movement piece, don't move. Don't do anything. Don't clap until the last bit. Because multi-movement pieces require you to listen to the whole thing and not clap until the end. Otherwise, it would take forever. That is the classical concert etiquette that I'm speaking of. Do you have anything to add to that? I can't think of anything else.
I just think that sometimes conductors, here's what I have found the problem with that, is that the last time I went to the symphony, the conductor in between movements, not between pieces, put his hands fully down and people started clapping,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the indication that the piece is over. And so that, I think there's also a piece that conductors need to know, how to give cues for those things. Otherwise, people don't really know when to clap and when not to, because he's kind of not only conducting the orchestra, but conducting the crowd at that point. And so if you're conducting and you're done, you can kind of cross your arms like so. And that's not all the way down. That's not telling people this is over. When my arms are down at my side, that's when I'm completely done. If my arms are still somewhat up and I'm just in between, I'm waiting for my musicians to flip their page, my baton is still here. People can still see that it's up. And that's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I see most people do. But some conductors don't, and they put their arms down. And then people like you expect nobody to clap, and then people do, and you get all upset.
Yes.
But the thing is you're telling people to watch for these cues, and then when it happens, they clap, but it's at the wrong time because the cue is wrong.
Well, I think that the baseline etiquette is that if you know that there's a multi-movement piece, you don't clap no matter what the conductor does. I think that if the conductor...
Yeah, but if you don't know music and you're just going
Why are you going?
Some people just want the experience of going to an orchestra.
I feel like you should... Okay, that's fair.
Some people just want to dress up fancy and go do something that seems fancy.
Yeah, you're right. I was also meaning like, okay, so if you were watching the back of a conductor, if I saw a conductor just kind of flop his hands down to his sides after the piece was done, I would want to clap because that seems more like the end. If I see a conductor slowly put his hands down and maybe cross them in front of him or just not put them all the way down, but sort of just kind of do that, that I think is more of an indication that we're not done yet, that's just a end, just wait. But I think that the baseline is do not clap between movements no matter what the conductor does. That should be your baseline. And I think that for people who've never been in the symphony or don't know that, yeah, that's a little confusing for them if the conductor doesn't quite know how to, obviously these are people who are more professional than I am, so I don't blame that on them or anything. They can do whatever they want. But you're right. I guess for people who don't really go to symphony very often, that's a hard thing to learn. I think that
it's like my high school band concert. There would be times where people would start clapping before the piece was over because it sounded like it was over, and we would all joke about it beforehand in the band room. We'd be like, "Oh, they're gonna clap right here," and then it would happen inevitably. But that's also because I'm from middle of nowhere, Redneckville, USA, and those people have no etiquette experience because that's not their thing. And they're just going to support their kid who decided they wanted to play trumpet for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And it's not like serious to them. So they start clapping and hooting and hollering, and you're like, shut up. But you can't really do much about it.
I think towards the end of high school, when we started going to, we started doing concerts, it was like these are parents now who have been in this, I don't want to say industry, but in this setting for a while now, since 5th grade, so they've learned the etiquette.
Some people
slowly.
just don't have that common sense.
I know. I think that they should. Also,
if you don't have common sense, get some.
Yeah. Also, I think that most of the people at the Symphony Center, the Chicago Symphony Center, know what they're going to see, know the etiquette, and so I think that when those people who don't know start to clap, and you don't clap, eventually they'll catch on. Like, there'll be some people who start to, and then they kind of put their hands away, like they realize no one's clapping.
Oh, yeah, but then you have big groups like there was one time that last semester, there were these kids that walked in sweatshirts and jeans and these funny little hat things and like that were like Burger King crowns or something. And I was like, what is happening? These people are... And I was, like, in my fancy dress and, like, with my petticoat and all this stuff. And, like, it was just, like, what? And in those people, there was, like, the whole right wing of the seating was their group of people. So when one of them claps, none of them know.
I know, yeah.
So when you have a mass group of people, I suppose, that just don't know.
Yeah. It is hard it's infectious when somebody starts clapping. You're just like, your instinct is to start clapping. In terms of live music though, like there's no conductor. And when you get there's a point where all of a sudden people are like, the drummer's going, whenever it's going, it's just clearly like they're just going crazy, right? I mean, that's okay to start clapping and cheering and going all woo, crazy. But it was just like, what was it that we were doing yesterday where it was in chapel or something that I mentioned, like, I wish people would not clap here. What was it? I don't recall.
I don't know.
We were in chapel listening to people. It was like not quite the end of the song, and everyone was clapping and cheering and stuff, and then they had to keep going.
I don't know. I don't remember
that. But yeah, so just be aware of the situation, I guess.
And when you're here's the thing that bothers me about like concerts and stuff of like a rock concert or something, like pop stuff like that, is that sometimes people know the lyrics so well that they scream sing them, and then you can't hear the actual artist that you came to hear sing the lyrics, and it really makes me mad because I understand that you're excited and you want to sing along and do whatever. But I came and I paid to see this person sing their song for me. So sing. Not the random people who don't know what they're doing. The professional who is trained and can sing.
Yeah, when they turn the microphone out at the crowd and
Well,
say,
yeah, that's
everyone,
different.
You sing, do the thing, whatever, like that is different. But
Yeah.
you're right. There's people who are the super fans or whatever.
It's like if you were a fan of somebody who was a comedian and then you started telling their jokes with them. Like, what?
Yeah. Or, yeah,
You go
saying
to
the
a
punchline. Yeah.
a like spoken word night and you start doing the spoken word with them. It's just a little strange to me. I don't know how we got to that culture of like mosh pits and like
I could tell you. You're supposed to learn it in comms. But unless you don't want to.
it's probably what we're getting to soon.
The Beatles would hire girls
Oh
to
yeah, we talked about
jump
that.
around in the
because
front.
it was marketing.
And that's where that started, is that the Beatles, they started hiring people to jump up, the fangirl screaming and yelling in the front row, That's where that started. And so when you go to when you used to go to a One Direction concert or Skillet or something, not Skillet, but those boy bands
Yeah.
or whatever, and they're going crazy.
Not a boy band.
I know, I know.
It's a rock,
I know.
Christian rock band.
I know. I was being whatever. Those people that jump around and scream and that comes from a marketing cultural thing, but from the Beatles. It started
Yeah.
with the Beatles.
Yep, I did know that. Actually.
Well, I didn't when I was told it, but yes, that's where.
Oh,
our
you
culture
probably
got
spoiled it for me. I'm just kidding.
there. I probably did.
Oh,
Anyway, how do you want to transition into ASMR? So our next part is gonna be about it.
I hate that.
So I don't have a transition from music into this. Something else. Oh, you listen to music. You know what I listen to? Autonomy sensory meridian response.
That's autonomous.
Autonomous sensory
sensory
meridian
meridian
response.
response.
I will just. It's autonomous, not autonomy. You're right. That is ASMR. And if you don't know what it is, it's really this feeling you get. It's a little tingly feeling that starts. Usually, it's a lot in people's head, in the back of their neck, sort of, and then sometimes in their shoulders or the back. If you were ever in grade school, and they were doing the spiders crawl up your back and they bite you, or the knife in your back and the blood runs down,
Or the egg
eggs
cracking
on your head. That little tingly sensation that is sort of pleasant, sort of uncomfortable. That is autonomous sensory meridian response. I don't know all of the neurological science behind it. I do know that it was first discovered through a sexual context, but I know that that's not how it is normally thought of now. But what people do, if you don't know, on YouTube is they will trigger that in different people, and it's usually a pleasant sensation. A lot of people use it for sleep. It's considered a sleep aid now. But it's
I hate ASMR.
Yes. Ladle is not like ASMR. I do. I'm a what's the word? I'm a
Avid.
Wow, I couldn't think of the word. Avid listener. I listen to 3 different. Usually, my 3 main are GB, ASMR, Goodnight Moon, or Frivolous Fox. Yes, they're all girls. I do also listen to Marno, who's a dude, and I used to listen to a lot of other dudes, but they don't do it for me much anymore. I am partial to liquid sounds. So if you put it like a spray bottle, use your hair, you kind of shake that around, that's nice. I don't like, there's a lot of stuff that people hate that I also hate. Food noises.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like food noises.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like super bad lip smacking. I don't like that. I don't like that. If you want to know what I really enjoy that's not particularly ASMR is Bob Ross. He is considered to be one of the fathers of ASMR. And I experienced that as a kid. I would sit in a little blue rocking chair in front of the TV, and he was my painter guy. That's what I called him on PBS. And I would sit and listen to him. And I remember feeling that feeling. I'm like, okay, if I just focus and I be quiet, I can feel that feeling of like that nice tingly whenever he would do the brushes or whatever. He doesn't like whisper necessarily.
Slap the devil out of it.
Just slap the devil. His he used to be an Army drill sergeant, and he committed that when he got back to the U.S. or when he got out of the Army, he committed he would yell or scream ever again because he just didn't like to do it. And so that's why he's so soft-spoken. That's
Can
why
you
he does
imagine,
painting.
like, your drill
Ross.
sergeant is Bob Ross?
I know.
And then, like, 2 years later, you see him on TV, and he's like, happy little trees.
Yeah.
There's no mistakes, only happy accidents. I would just be like, is that the same guy who
Yeah.
told me to give me 50 more push-ups, like, right now? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why he he adopted. He had squirrels. He had pet
Yeah,
squirrels.
he did have
and
pet
all
squirrels.
these things. Like he was just a really. Anyway, that was where I first experienced it. I didn't learn about it until years later. I don't remember who it was or where I started, but there was the one girl that I can't remember, her name, but her and stop. Her and GB were one of my first ASMR artists. I can't remember who her name was, but her intro would always be, "Hey, it's me," and then I don't remember her name.
I hate that.
I know you hate that.
That's terrible.
It
That's
is
such
terrible.
a dumb intro.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't come up with it. Anyway.
You're still getting defensive, like I've insulted you.
Anyway, it's something that I always enjoyed, and I used to use it as like a something to sleep to, but I get it the most when I'm not supposed. So if I'm doing homework and I had a tab open listening to it, I go back to it and I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's where it gets me the most when I'm not supposed to, like when it's in the middle of something, it's distracting me. I get it the best in the middle of the day. Most people do it in the middle of the night when they're supposed to be sleeping, when they're trying to put them to sleep. The middle of the day is always what it gets me the most. Do you have something you'd like to say about it?
Yes, I love ASMR, and I get what you're saying. It happens like most random times. That's why there's so many unintentional
Yeah.
ASMR videos,
Yeah.
because when it's like all planned out and you're like, okay, I'm going to listen to this person and I'm going to feel this way, it doesn't work. It's like your body's like, nah, I don't feel like
Yep.
it. And you can get overstimulated too. So if, let's say, you listen to the same person like every night or whatever, eventually their voice isn't really going to give you like the tingles anymore.
Yes.
So you have to find different people, or you have to take like a break. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
weird.
called sometimes you have to do something called
like a tolerance break.
it's a tingle immunity. When you have tingle immunity, that's where you just can't feel it anymore. And so there are videos that will break you out of that a little bit. And sometimes you got to go find different people. But there's one or two videos that I do know that I go back to when I don't want to listen to it anymore. But yeah, there were some times in Prof. Heck's class where she'd be drawing on the board or she'd be saying something and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Keep drawing on the board. I like that.
Have you ever heard Winfred Neely? Sorry, one more thing.
Winfred Neely? Yeah.
Winfred Neely.
Oh, yeah.
His voice will.
His voice is awesome.
I want to listen to it before bed, and that's creepy, but
You know Winfred Neely? Yeah.
Somebody pick me up.
It's scared. It's awesome. It's all good.
I just don't understand that. I just don't get that.
You know those little head scratchers with the beads in the end?
Yeah,
You go-
yeah. I don't like those.
Yeah. If you do those too quickly or whatever, then
I don't even like to be touched.
That's probably why.
well, not
don't-
Part
everybody
of it.
has can even
Yeah.
have that response.
Not everybody can have ASMR. There are people who listen to it that don't get the tingles, but they just like it. It's soothing.
Oh, well, they're weird. for
Okay.
that.
Well, my buddy Andrew would agree with you on that one.
That's just
He's
strange.
never liked it. He's always.
I
thought
just
it's weird.
don't. It just makes me feel like.
And guess what? Most people do. I kind of felt that way too before I really saw the light. So.
Okay. Okay.
I understand. I understand. But there's words, right? Speaking, the ASMR thing. There are certain words. One of my favorite triggers is called trigger words. These are things that like stipple.
What?
Stipple when you whisper
Stipple?
it. No, stipple. Stipple. It's not a real word. Stipple. Stipple or different words.
It's
that
not
have,
a real word. Then why
Stop
are you
it.
saying it?
There are other words that have P's and T's that are
These people are crazy.
that are really triggering for me. It's good. It's cool.
What is stipple?
It's just a word that if you say
It's not a word.
if you say it in a certain, it's very tricky. It's not about the word. It's
It's an onomatopoeia.
yeah, like that. Or like I don't know. There's just a lot of other words. There are some words that I don't like though.
Some words that I hate. Soiled. End of list.
Why? Does it make you cringe? Does it make you
It just-
unhappy?
It makes me think of underwear and
Poop.
no, more like peeing your pants and.
That's not that bad. Peeing your pants? I did it yesterday. You think peeing your pants is worse than pooping your pants?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
What?
I don't want to talk about
What
this
planet
anymore.
are you from?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
What?
Somebody please pick me up.
Are you kidding me? You think peeing your pants is worse?
Yes.
How?
Because it's a liquid.
So what? Poop is so much worse.
No, it's not. If you're standing up and then you would just walk to the bathroom and take care of it, and you only have to change one item of clothing.
I can't even.
If you pee yourself, then it's in your underwear, your pants, your socks, your shoes.
How much are you peeing? Holy
Pee a
cow.
lot. What do you
Brennan,
mean?
how much are you pooping? Let's ask that
I
question.
just don't understand. Soiling yourself is a poop metaphor. Objectively.
I
That's
think
just where
more
it
of
comes from. That's just
not-
watering yourself. If you pee yourself,
I don't know. I don't know.
that's so...
I don't like the word soiled. Anyway, it makes me think of dirty laundry, and I hate dirty laundry.
You hate dirty laundry, you hate dirty dishes, you hate
I hate dirty things.
words. Oh.
No, hey, Dirty Birds was my mascot.
I said dirty words.
Oh.
Anyway,
Well, not anymore. R.I.P. to the bird. But
my neighbor... What?
we used to be the Dirty Birds, my brosis, and now
Oh, yeah.
now we're at the Filthy West because the bird is no more. R.I.P. Jeffrey. He lives in the bottom of the river now.
You're not supposed to say that. It's a felony to throw things off a bridge.
We didn't.
Oh, right. You didn't. Anyway, my neighbor's Miss Jess Pear. She her least favorite word is moist. Just makes
That's
her
most people.
they just don't
That's
like it.
very generic.
Now let's switching gears. Favorite word? Crisp.
Crisp.
That's my favorite word.
Like a crisp apple.
Yes, like a crisp apple. Just cold, juicy. I think of a crisp fall afternoon. The wind is just right. It's a comfortable temperature. It's crisp. I just think of freshness and just
My favorite word? Bioluminescence.
She's taken a barnacle and cover it in bioluminescent algae as a diversion.
Huh?
It's from Moana.
Well, bioluminescence reminds me of the life of Pi in the scene where he's in the boat and it's like the middle of the night and he's sitting and all of a sudden everything around him is just like whoosh, like lights up and he's like whoa, and then there's a whale and then it like and like ruins his day. But I think that's part of it.
I've never read it.
Oh, it's also a movie. It's a really good movie. You should watch the movie if you're not a book guy.
I'm a book guy. I'm the book guy. The B.I.B.L.E.
That's the book for me. Stand alone on the word
Heard
of
about
God.
the
B.I.B.L.E.
B.I.B.L.E.
Bible.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because
That's not how they say it.
That is the Bible.
That's not in that song.
Yeah, it is. B.I.B.L.E. Yes, that's a great. Stand alone on the word of God. The B.I.B.L.E. Bible. Yeah.
I think that's just something we yell at the very end.
Oh. What version is this? What is this
That's
version?
Go Fish. What do you mean?
That's not the version I've ever heard.
What?
It's like very like children's song, like
Old?
B.I.B.L.E. Yes, that's the book for me.
No, the
I
B.I.B.
stand alone on the word of
This
God.
is this is
B.I.B.L.E.
Go Fish. This is the version that I have.
Bible.
You've never heard this version? This was
Never-
all of my this was all of my
What?
This is all my VBS. This was the Go Fish was my entire VBS experience.
That's not it. I
What?
hate to break it to you.
That's awesome.
That's like iPad Kid edition.
Do you know when that song came out?
When? 2010?
Let me look
The age of the iPads?
No.
Anything 2010 and older, or younger, I should say, is iPad. Oh, when did it come out?
That's not right. No, that's not right.
Oh, when did it come out?
No.
No, let me look it
no,
up.
the reason
Let me
no.
just help you out.
No, the reason that this is not the reason that this is impossible is because this was way before. That is weird.
It came out 5 years ago.
The version that you First of all, 5 years ago is 20.
18.
Okay, Bible Beats for Little Feet by Go Fish. That's where this came out. This says that this came out on December 9th of 2019. I listened to this song in 2014 at best.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I hate
This
to
is
break it to you.
completely impossible.
No, you didn't.
I did. No. My siblings back me up here. This is impossible.
An iPad Kid.
I'm not an iPad kid. You can't say I'm an iPad kid based on the song that I listened to.
Yes, I can, because everybody else in the entirety of the world had the old, like, nursery rhyme version of this song.
Hold on.
The
So if you look up
B.I.B.L.E,
the B.I.B.L.E.
that's the book for me.
Go Fish song.
Oh,
okay, yes. Okay. 2003. Ha ha. That album was just put together in 2019 as a collection of their songs, little beats for Little Feet.
Okay.
2003. I knew it. I was not insane. I didn't think that it came from that album. That's kind of crazy. It came out in 2003. Praise God Almighty. There's a lot of other really fun songs from Go Fish
I've
that.
never heard that in my life. Anyway.
Well, you should hear it in your life because it's got to be one of the most amazing things ever.
That does not sound very amazing to me.
It is.
The
It's-
Bible is amazing to me. So, come on, somebody.
Dr. Maddox, come on.
What are you doing now?
10 Commandment Boogie.
The what now?
This is 10 Commandment Boogie.
Until I die.
You have to rhyme I with something. We should analyze that song. That sounds like a very musically interesting song. Can you imagine analyzing the 10 Commandment Boogie? So anyway, my favorite word is crisp, and that's all I have to say. I also really like the word fresh. I like the word spaghetti.
Spaghetti. I like the word lake.
You like the name Lake.
I also like the name Lake.
But it's not a name.
It is a name. This is my friend's last name.
It was his first name River.
No, it was Cooper.
Can I tell you my favorite word?
Yeah, please.
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle is a good word.
That is a good word. What's the one? Oh, Dr. Clark's wife spoke in chapel this week. She was using some very large words.
Very good, large words.
She was using some, what do you call it when it's like SSS or WWW? Or
Alliteration.
What?
One more time?
Alliteration.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Mm-hmm.
And she said like some sublime, superlative something. I don't know.
Superb. No, you said, so she definitely said sublime. She
Sublime.
said something else, but I agree.
And it was very good. I was like, wow, these are large words. And I'm like, okay, it's sounding a little scripted, but I'm okay with it.
Well, she's got a paper. She was reading her speech.
I know, but I don't know. Some people can read from a paper and make it not sound like they're reading from a paper.
Yeah. Well, She had a lot of really good stuff.
She did have a lot of really good stuff. She also wrote a book about it. Fun fact.
What was the book? I didn't catch what the book was
I didn't
called.
catch what the book's called, but I know that there's a book written
Out
by
there.
Catherine Clark
Catherine Clark. About her
experience.
journey of getting paralyzed. She's not paralyzed anymore, but I think she is still considered a quadriplegic, isn't she?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, but she's
okay now.
she can wobble,
Walk.
hobble.
Anyway.
Well, that's all I
kinda
have
all I
for
got.
you today, Ladle.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week, and we will see you again next week for another heaping healthy ladle of peas. Bye, guys.